Welcome to the 39th session on programming in C. Today we will understand pointers. So let us look at what are pointers. A pointer is a variable which contains the memory address of another variable. So what is the meaning of it? Let us first try to recall what is a variable. So you know very well, variable is a named memory location. So if this is the memory of the computer, in particular a RAM of the computer, you give a variable. For example, you create a variable. Let me just redraw it again. So I have the memory here. So this is one location here. Let me just count this one as memory. Okay. And I have a variable. Let me just call that variable any variable. For example, I can call this variable as register number. So this is the register number. So let's say this is the variable. So this variable is pointing to some memory location. Now you can imagine the computer memory as your spreadsheet. You have seen the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet, which contains rows and columns. So every cell within the memory, so there will be memory will be available in the form of cells. So every cell has a unique number, and that is what is called as an address. How we have addresses for our house. Similarly, the every memory location has its own address, which is generally referenced in the hexadecimal format, and it is difficult for us to remember the addresses. So you know very well. You know the phone number of your parents, maybe your friends, that's all, but you cannot remember the phone numbers of all the persons whom you know. So what you generally do is you save those phone numbers in your contact list with a specific name so that you can identify that phone number. Similarly, memory addresses are just a number references, and it is difficult to remember the number references. You know very well, most of the time, if you directly dial a number, there is a lot of chances are there that you dial a wrong number and you end up in a trouble. So that's the same thing. When you try to refer the memory location by using its address, which is nothing but a number, there is always a chance that you may miss the number or misplace or somehow type a wrong address and you end up in trouble. So instead of doing that, what we generally do is we refer that memory location using a name, and that is what is a variable. So variable is again a memory reference, but you are giving a specific name to that particular memory location. Yeah, now the question that is arising with us is pointers are those variables which can hold the address. So whereas the variables can hold numbers. For example, if I say, let's say, if I just say register number, let me just say reg number is equal to 1234. So where is this 1234 is stored? So this 1234 is stored in this memory location. So you have this 1234 being stored at this location. So that is what is the variable is holding. So variable is holding generally a ordinary variable holds a value. So either a number or a name or a character, depending upon the data type you have. So it holds the value, but now you have a special type of variable which can hold the address. Now, what is this address? Now, this register number that you are referring to has a address. Now, just for my reference, I am just writing the address as 999. Some address, okay, just assume that, okay. So this is the memory location. So it is like the telephone number of that person. I know that the number. Now I want that memory address. Remember, this is the value. 1234 is the value. This is the address of that. This is the name that is given. So name is like an alias that is given to it. So you use the other thing to easily refer to that 999 instead of referring to that location as 999, which is its permanent address. You refer to it with a name called as a register number. Now this register number can hold a value, but now I have a variable. So I have a variable, just type it here. I have a special variable, say PTR, let me just say PTR, which holds the address. Now, what is this PTR is doing is it is holding the address, not the value. So PTR refers to the address of that particular variable, and that is what is the idea of a pointer. So, okay, so pointer is a variable, no doubt. It is a variable, okay, which contains the memory address of another variable. So pointer is a variable, like all the other variables. You have the variable, but it contains the memory address of another variable. So that is the idea. Now the question is, how do we declare a pointer? Now the question is, how do we define a so-called variable? So in order to define a variable, for example, I say int reg number. So like R as capital. Just remember, there is no need that you to replace it. Just for reference purpose, I am doing it. So this will declare a variable called as a register number, which is of type int. Okay? And this register number can hold a value. So I can say reg number, let me make it as R capital because I started with that. Reg number is 1234. This is what is the idea of a variable. So when you create a variable, you specify a data type and you specify an identifier, and then you use this identifier for future references. So for any other future references, you will use the same identifier, either for designing new values or retrying the existing values or so on. Or you use the same variable name. Now the next question is, how can I create a pointer? So I can define a pointer. So to define a pointer, so the idea is very simple. You use the data type, like how you have used it here. You use the variable name, how you have used it here, but the only difference here is you put a star in front of it. So you put a star in front of the variable. So this star or asterisk, it is going to create a pointer variable. So this time, suppose if I create, let's say, if I create int, then if I put the star, okay, and if I say a reg number, now this is not the ordinary variable anymore. This one without star will create a ordinary variable which can hold the value. Now this is a special type of a special data type which can hold the address of an integer variable. So this register number now has an ability to hold the address, not this value. It is not holding the value. It is going to point to the location. So if your register number is here, if this is the location in the memory where the register number is existing. So this is the register number. So what is being done is this can now point to the address of this particular memory location. So that is the idea of a pointer. So pointer is a variable that contains the memory address of another variable. Okay. How can I get the, now the next question is, how can I get the address of a variable? That is the next general question that anybody will So how can I get the address? So suppose if I say int reg number, this will create a variable. Now suppose if I say int star ptr, just to say this is a pointer. Why it is a pointer? Because it is starting with a star. Now how do I get the address of the variable? So you have the memory here. Inside this memory there is a variable which is a named memory location called as a red number. So that is no doubt about it. There is an address associated with this register number, which we are not generally using it. Now the question is we are supposed to use. How can I get to get the address of any variable? You use the ampersand symbol. So ampersand reg number will give you. So reg number is a memory variable. So it is a variable. Ampersand of reg number means you are not interested in what value that is stored here. So you might have stored 1234, a value 1234, but I am not interested in 1234. Instead, I am interested in the memory address. Let's say this is 999. I am interested in that 999. How can I get to this 999? I am going to ask this register number, give me the address, and who is going to give me the address? This particular ampersand. So ampersand is address of that particular operator is called as address of something. So it's going to give me the address of that particular location. So I can now say, so for example, if I say like this, if I say red number, let me repeat red number is equal to 1234. This means I am storing a value 1234 inside this number. Now, what about this PTR? PTR is without star. PTR is again a memory location. Okay, what is this memory location called as? It is called as PTR. This is also a memory location, no doubt. PTR is also a memory location. But this is a special type of memory location. I cannot think of storing 1234 inside PTR because it is not going to take the values, but it can take the address of other variables. So I can store, if I assume that 999 is an address of this particular location. So 999, that is the address of a other variable, can be stored. How can I store the address of other variable? How do you store a value into a variable? You give the name of the variable and you specify the value. In the same way, you are going to say name of the variable, which is ptr. If you notice here, name of the variable is ptr, but it is made as a pointer with this star. So I am going to say ptr is equal to address of, you know very well, address of means address of operator is ampersand, then the name of the variable. So what I am getting is not the value which is there inside this variable, not this one. I am getting the address, this part. I am getting this part. So address 999 is stored in the variable location. So this is what is the essence of pointers. That's all in this class. Thank you for your interest. We will meet again in the other session. Thank you.